Welcome, Raewyn Hill.
Thank
It's a
you.
pleasure to have you here to chat. So, yeah, do you want to tell us a bit about you and where you are now and what you've been doing?
Well, I am currently the founding artistic director of Co3 Contemporary Dance Australia. So based here in Perth on Wajak Noongar. And we're going into our 10 years. So I've been here 10 years, which is quite amazing. And often I reflect on the immense skill that Deirdre Tarrant had in running Footnote. How amazing it was for us all to be part of that company in the sort of 90s, 2000s under Deirdre Tarrant, and the skills that have been embedded so deeply in us. And I almost on a daily basis, I will dial up Deirdre Tarrant.
There's a phrase. It's what would Deirdre do?
What would Deirdre do?
They reference it quite a lot.
Yeah, so yeah, I often reflect actually is that
Mm,
whilst you were there as a dancer or a choreographer, the force that Deirdre is and was in that company, you know, has completely been embedded
mm,
in how I operate and how I drive
mm.
everything that I do. So, well,
Absolutely.
the thing I remember is coming up the stairs to the studio and being in that studio. And I remember being in Wellington years ago and the door was open and I walked up. It's a funny thing, isn't it? It's like just coming home.
The
And
smell.
the amount of work that was made in that tiny studio, you know,
It's
it's
tiny.
tiny, tiny. Like it's probably like 3 times the size of this room or something. But it didn't matter, did it? Like we were there together. Deirdre was in the office. And I remember when I was in Hong Kong, she was doing some um, RAD examining. And I just remember having that same feeling that I had, walking up the stairs at Footnote, whether or not you're walking up the stairs at Footnote or whether you're walking into the Peninsula Hotel to have a fancy cup of tea with Deirdre, you have the same feeling. You feel like you're coming home.
Mm. Your initial connection with the company was as a company dancer for a year, is that correct?
Yeah. So I graduated 92 from New Zealand School of Dance, and I did a third year, 93. And part of that, we did our own show at Bats Theatre. Um, and I remember I made this solo, and I'm pretty sure I might have got this wrong, but I'm pretty sure Deirdre wrote, oh no, Jennifer Shannon, I think, wrote a review saying, get this girl a job. Someone give this girl a job before she explodes. And Deirdre, I remember, invited me for coffee and offered me a contract
Mm.
as a dancer in 1994.
If you were in the company in 94, then you might have done Douglas's knee dance.
I definitely did Douglas's knee
Yeah.
down. Definitely. I did a solo with Shona Dunlop, Janet Frame,
Yes.
Katie Redwig.
Yes. How did you then come to choreograph on the company?
I think I was one of those dancers that were, obviously we gave a lot, or, in terms of creating movement. So I was an interest in choreography and I was doing some solo work um, on my solo show. And Deirdre invited me to make her work. And I remember thinking, and I think we probably had this conversation, was that I was like, I'm not really a choreographer. I felt completely out of my depth.
Mm.
And I was thinking about, the things that Deirdre empowered in me, and it was the the courage to explore a choreographic voice.
Mm.
So I think as I have evolved, as a maker and director, there's two things that I really am deeply connected to Deirdre with, and that was one is the director. Yeah, what would Deirdre do? And two, the pure belief that she had in me
Mm.
that I had something to say as a maker. that I think she believed that before I even knew that I did. And you'll
Okay.
see why she just kept bringing me back. She kept bringing me back each year.
Mm.
And no matter what I made, she was so encouraging and so committed to the development of my choreographic practice.
Out of all the works you made on Footnote, is any one or two more sort of memorable or significant to you?
Um, I don't know, I'm going to say In Time of Flight. There was something about that work. And I think at that time, I think I was going through something, a hard time personally. And, Deirdre, didn't matter what was happening, she just was always like this big hug. She would sort of bring you in and
Mm.
somehow, life just felt better.
I loved performing that one. I remember learning it off a really dodgy video because, of course, it was made originally on a group before us and then it got remounted again on my year. The music, it's so magical. The costumes, they felt amazing to dance in.
Yeah, there was something beautiful about that. I don't know, every work. I mean, it's a funny thing to say, but every work is the beginning of the next work.
Mm.
And I just remember every time that I had the opportunity to be with Deirdre and work with Footnote, it was significant. I felt like I was home. I felt like I was safe. I felt like I was cared for. I felt like I could be brave. Deirdre was always so encouraging you know, about exploring and looking at things in a different way. And, I look back and perhaps, in that time I wasn't mature enough to understand what Deirdre was doing in that support. I mean, I think another quite significant memory is when Footnote came to Hong Kong.
And you made a trio while we were there. Wasn't it about the the little birds in the cages?
Yeah, it was actually. Oh, was that Nest?
Yeah.
Yeah, that turned into like a full-length work as well.
The full length work you made on Footnote, Here Lies Within. When I go back and I look at the previous works, aesthetically, there was similar things. And then we jump to this work and much more dance theater. It's wild. It's like really like ahead of its time. What was your thinking with that work?
That was the first time that Deirdre that I'd made a full-length work. If I look at that line up there, so how ugly is that duckling here lies within, and then in time of flight, I think maybe I was trying something different.
Mm,
Maybe I felt like I needed to experiment in that other space of dance theatre, or did I
mm,
have a voice in that? And again, amazingly, Deirdre just supports that and says, yeah, let's do it. But then I made In Time of Flight, which returns back to like a very strong movement,
mm,
you know, direction. And I
mm,
think it's around about that time that I sort of decided actually that that's my voice and I'm okay
mm,
to sit in this more movement orientated vocabulary.
mm.
Yeah, so it was funny when I looked at that list that you sent through, I felt quite, it was a melancholic. I was like, wow, you don't, until you sort of stop and reflect, we're all so busy and we've all got, um, things that we're achieving now ourselves. But so I don't often spend time reflecting on what I've
Mm,
done. And it was a beautiful email to receive because I really just sat there and I looked at it and I thought this was a very, very significant part of my development as a dancer and as a choreographer.
mm,
And how lucky, I mean, I don't really believe in luck, but if I hadn't have had that support from Deirdre and from Footnote, there's no way I would be doing what I was doing now. No way.